Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Core 90 training here with the community. And I am so excited for today's content. This is going to be a bit of a conversation, but I really think that there's a breakthrough moment about to happen in the real estate industry. And I think if you're here today, it's because you care about that and you actually want to see that happen for yourself, for your own business. And it deserves a little bit of thought and attention from all of us. And so having given this a very significant deep scrub in terms of what I believe is possible right now, I want to go the distance today and talk about what it is that's happened, how we got here, and then also how do we get out of this little bind? Because I hear agents saying the same thing, and I sent this out in my note about this session, which is buyers are quiet, listings are stalled, things aren't moving, it all feels like friction, 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 and no grease. And so today we're going to grease up the skids, get things back moving again, and talk about how does that work? How do we empower ourselves? How do we empower our teams or our partners that are out there in the industry for them to understand better and at a higher level? And by the way, I'm happy to share all of the slides from today with anybody who's on here, including in an editable format. So if you're wanting to do this with your team, with your group, that's awesome. I'll share it. It's yours to use. The idea here is to just try to make the industry better. So feel free to reach out and we will get that rocking and rolling. So here's what I would just ask really quickly and put this maybe in the chat. If this is true for you, have you noticed or have you heard either one that the real estate industry has stalled, meaning that things have slowed down or that there's been more friction or that there's fewer buyers and sellers or that things have gotten slower, any of those types of things? I see some yeses coming through here. Amy Olson, thank you. Lexi, absolutely. And so, as we have been talking about the industry, thanks, Christine. Yeah, absolutely. And so I know that things have gotten a little bit tighter. And so what we're going to talk today about, thanks, Nancy, absolutely, is how do we start to motivate the process again? And also, where are these transactions hiding? Because we know that everything doesn't go to zero. It never does, right? We can all at least acknowledge that one piece of the real estate industry, which is despite our perceptions that everything goes, it might go to zero for a person in the real estate industry. That's very different than the entire industry going to zero. So I'm calling today's chat the conversation engine, and you can see that here on the screen. Can somebody tell me if you're not seeing me on the bottom right of the screen? Let me know. Does it look okay? Hopefully not. I mean, I still look like me, but hopefully all right, great. So step one, and this is how top agents take unfair market share of business in any cycle, by the way. And what I notice is when we get into free cycles, idiots in the real estate industry feel like geniuses. Geniuses still feel like geniuses. When everything gets really slow, for some reason, the people at the top still have their best year ever, and the people at the bottom are all complaining about how bad it is. And that's because there's an uneven distribution. So the only answer is to be at the top. Can we all at least admit that we'd all love to be at the top? If you're going to do it, right, like don't do it for less return. No, I just want to waste all my time and not make very much money. That is a bad answer. Let's not do that. So how do we start to hack this? How do we start to impact this so that it does not stall out our lives, seem to steal all of our energy? And by the way, I have Lexi, I know you're a co-host on here. If we have questions or comments in the chat, please let me know. That'd be amazing. So I'm calling section one here, and we're going to go through this pretty quickly. I know it says we have a lot of slides, but a lot of it is limited information per slide because I wanted to show things, not just tell things today. The market is not your problem, and it never was. And I think we have to just myth bust this at the very beginning, because I have friends and colleagues across the industry. They're not just running huge teams. Some are solo producers who are literally having their most banner, ridiculous year ever. It's not because they all live in San Francisco, which, by the way, props to my San Francisco people who are having the biggest real estate boom ever. Holy moly. Their median price this year went up from 1.7 to 2.2, and their literally average time on market is less than 18 days right now. So clearly, there's markets that aren't crashing, but some places maybe have felt a little bit of a breath. So we got to break the lie, though. Let's start with the truth. The market isn't slow. And here's what I mean with this, guys. And no one ever says this out loud, but life never stops moving. And I want you to start to write some of these down. If you don't mind, if you're here today to learn and grow and improve, then this is what I would recommend. Write it down. This is how we learn. By the way, the Harvard study shows, I don't remember, some ridiculous percentage more in terms of retention when you actually write it down. I'd make up a percentage, but I'm trying to break that habit. So there we go. But people still get married. Interesting, right? Don't they? People still get divorced. We know that. If they're getting married, we've all seen the stats. There's the indoor and the outdoor on that cycle, unfortunately. People still inherit money. They still relocate, right? Somebody died, somebody moved, somebody still gets retired and now they can't afford their ginormo house anymore. People still have babies and now they need a ginormo house that other guy was selling. So it just keeps on moving whether or not you show up. This is interesting. So guess what? Let's look at some more. People still lose their job. People still get promoted. Yay. People still outgrow their house. People still downsize. People still die. We said that one, right? Every single one of those, though, represents a real estate transaction, or realistically two, right? Because there's always a buyer and a seller. That's two sides to every single deal. And we all like to say, yeah, but it's so hard. It's so hard. Right. And yet, how purposeful are you being at finding these people? That's the first question I would ask. And if the answer is, well, I've never tried, then you've never tried. And that's just a truism. And it's not a knock. It's something that will adjust today. But transactions simply never stop. And if you're just showing up, by the way, I'm going to recap really quick. People still get married, divorced, inherit, relocate, retire, lose jobs, get promoted, outgrow a house, downsize, and pass away. So transactions are out there, right? And what we're trying to positively impact today is our perceptions of how the market's actually working, right? We have this false perception that maybe things got ooey and gooey and sticky and, oh, it's not going to work and everything's bad, Jeff. You don't understand. I do understand. But marriages, moves, birth, deaths, promotions, inheritance, all happening every single day. Recession or boom, it doesn't matter. And we're going to learn that those life events are creating real estate transactions, and that those transactions are not checking the news to decide whether or not they should move forward. You're checking the news. Why? Because you're inundated with it. Why? Because you got a real estate license. They put your email out there. Next thing you know, Inman's telling you how terrible everything is, or whatever it is, whoever is telling you it's all falling apart, right? That's because someone is usually trying to sell you something on the back end of that. The fear cycle is usually about sales, just so you know. It's all going to be terrible unless you have this thing that I'm giving you. Today, you get all this information for free. So that's nice. So the question then that I have is, if life never stops, guys, and transactions are triggered by life, not interest rates, can we all agree? Right? People were still getting dead, getting babies, getting married, getting whatever they get. Back in the 80s, when 18% interest rates were all the rave, right? But guess what? It's like putting a house on a credit card today. But anyway, something else has to be the reason that your calendar is looking empty. And the answer to that is conversations stop. When the market gets sticky, conversations stop. They dry up. I've had so many great conversations recently with ultra high producers who are having their best year ever. And every single one of them said, I'm doubling down on conversations. I'm doubling down on conversations. But we're going to talk, about how to make that work for you and how to start to automate this process, how to make it part of your daily diet that you crave and actually enjoy, right? What about if this didn't ruin your life? What about if it was awesome and you felt empowered and you felt like, ooh, I hope this sticky market stays around forever, because everyone else, while they're folding and dying out there, and guess what? They're all putting roses on their chest and laying down in their backyard. I'm having my best year ever. You can have that right now and let the market keep everyone else out of your hair. All right, we're going to talk about how to do that. But the reality is the market didn't stop. You did. When the market's easy, agents are like, oh, it's so great. My phone's ringing all the time. Well, freaking congratulations. Guess what? They're calling you. That must be nice. But it's not going to work that way, because a real estate license is not a lottery ticket. And so in some markets, you're actually going to have to work for a living. This is one of those markets, and that's okay. So we're going to talk about what does that work mean, though. And that does not mean getting good at paperwork, as it turns out. You guys know my stance on paperwork. You can suck at paperwork and be great at real estate. Can everyone agree? You can be the number one agent in your market and be the number zero agent, the worst, whatever that is, the number 10,000th agent in your market at paperwork and still be number one in terms of doing deals because somebody else can do the paperwork. But nobody else can replace you in terms of having these conversations. So this is a conversation economy. And conversations are actually the currency of real estate. If you didn't know that until today, that's amazing. You could log off now. I wouldn't advise it because it's going to get better from here. But you could. And just with that one piece of information, you could go turn out, high 6, 7 figures this year. Can we all agree that every listing starts with a conversation? Somebody tell me maybe somebody out there has gotten a listing without ever having a conversation in writing or on the phone. That's amazing. Congratulations. I know it's a new world out there. Everyone always looks for the outliers just to try to be the point prover on the call. But I would guess that most of us can agree that we're finding our transactions vis-a-vis, there we go. We had somebody talking. Vis-a-vis having a conversation. Okay. So it's not a lead, not a click, not a boosted post. Those things are important, but they lead to what? A conversation with a homeowner who trusts you enough to have a conversation. Every buyer starts with a conversation. I know I'm doubling down on this point. I really got to get this to stick for the rest of the content here to make sense for everybody. Before a pre-approval, a pre-qualification, whatever, before the showing, before the offer, before they're signing your buyer agency agreement for 9 trillion% that you think you're going to get for doing something, someone talked to someone they trusted enough to what? Ask a question. How does this even work? It's my first time. My mom just died, but now I'm going to use her money to go buy an investment property. Whatever. I don't know, right? Something happened. It could either be fortunate or unfortunate, but they're looking to buy, but they usually start with a question. And guess what? So does everything else that pays you. So every referral starts with a conversation, every investor, every recruit, every repeat client. There are no exceptions. This is my opinion. Feel free to prove me wrong. Go write a blog post about it. I'll read it. But guess what? My perspective is that we still live in a human-based economy. AI is amazing, but AI is not currently buying and selling real estate. Not directly. Will it intermediate? I don't know. Who cares? Stay on the train. Just play the game, guys. So this is the currency pyramid. You'll notice what's the foundation of our pyramid. Without your foundation, what happens to your building? It falls over, right? It falls over. Conversations build what? Trust. Trust is how you get what? An appointment. And if you're just kind of new to real estate, or honestly, if you just need this reminder and a good flick in the eyeball today, here it is. If you're not having appointments every single week with people about buying and selling real estate, you're not currently a real estate agent. You might have a license, congratulations, but you're not actually practicing agency. You have to then have an appointment to what? Get a signed agreement. That agreement tells you that you will be compensated for a service that you will now provide. Now, from there on, let's hope you know how to do your job. Today's call is absolutely not about that part of the cycle. Today's part is about how do you get the conversations and the trust and the appointments and the agreements. That cycle. Once you get there, your ability to close the deal is your ability to close the deal. And that's how you get to commission, and that's how you pay your bills. And stop stressing and losing your hair or getting gray hair. All right. No one knows if I have gray hair because I shave it all off. All right. So my opinion, and I've said this for a long time, is that you're not in the real estate business. Nobody is. You're in the conversations business. In fact, anytime you're in sales, you're in a conversation business. And whether that conversation is something that you wrote on social media, congratulations, it's very passive, right? Not very active, or an actual conversation, which will move you much closer to a paycheck. Real estate is just what gets transacted once the conversation does its job. Can we all agree with that? Somebody give me a thumbs up in the chat. I just want to know that we're all conscious here. So I think this is a really, really important part of what we do. And by the way, Christine says I restructured lead gen time to connection time. Love the conversation. Yes, absolutely. How important is that, right? It's connections. These conversations are what we do. So now we need to talk about, if we know conversations are so important, how do we build an engine, a proprietary framework for turning strangers into commissions, right? We don't want to put dollar signs on everyone's forehead, but at the end of the day, if we don't meet more people and have more conversations, are we going to do more deals? Has anyone ever been sitting in their living room watching Netflix and been hit by a commission check? I doubt it, right? It's not going to happen. It's not going to slap you in the face. You're going to have to do something. There is some cause and effect. And so some of that ownership is a great thing. Lexi says, I wish. Yeah, right? Wouldn't that be nice? So here's the conversation engine. We're going to really go deep on this, guys. Number one is visibility. Number two is curiosity. Visibility leads to curiosity. And we're going to talk about how to build a curiosity engine. What generates curiosity? Curiosity creates a conversation. Conversations are usually about questions. Whether it's you asking a question or answering a question, in either way, there is a question being involved as part of a conversation. And by the way, if you're currently having conversations and you're like, I never have questions, then you're doing it wrong. We'll talk about that today. But I promise you, if you're doing all the talking, you're probably not asking any questions. You're being asked questions, and then you just love to show off how much you know, and that's great, except it doesn't feel like a conversation to the other person. It only does to you, which is a bummer. Trust is what comes from that conversation if we do it right. We'll talk about that today. That's number four. Number five, this is what happens after trust, after trust, after trust. Not trust me, you should have an appointment. I've built trust. Now they do trust me. They should be asking for an appointment. But anyway, we'll talk about that. And then appointments create agreements, and agreements lead to commissions. Okay, 7 steps. It's one loop. This isn't a funnel that you fall through one time. It's an engine, right? Right? How does an engine work? Has anyone ever seen an engine? Does it just go once and then turn off? Right? I mean, some of them do. I owned a Denali one time and my engine went out. Right? Then that's exactly what happened. But normally an engine is cyclical, right? Keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, and the firing keeps it rotational. That rotation is important. Every commission feeds the next round of visibility, and the loop runs faster the more you feed it. So let's talk about this. Visibility. This was number one, remember, on the cycle. So we're going to go through all 7 steps here. Visibility. You literally cannot start a conversation without someone knowing that you exist, right? If somebody doesn't know you exist, are they going to talk to you? At least answer that in your head or shake your head no, right? Hell no. And yet, if we went and we just surveyed every homeowner in the town that you live in right now, and I know we got people from all over the country on this call, it's awesome, right? If we surveyed every single person, hey, who are your 5 favorite, let's give it 5, we're going to be generous, 5 favorite real estate agents in town. Every single human being in town who's above the age of 18, what percentage of them would have your name as one of the 5 names? One of the 5. I'm not saying number 1, right? Like, what are your 5 favorite sodas? I don't know. It's hard to name more than 5. I'm getting down to RC Cola and I'm starting to get kind of weird. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? If you're not in the mix, they're not going to talk to you. Visibility is the entry fee, but it's not a strategy, right? The strategy is how do we gain visibility? And so I see a lot of people on social media, but they're doing dumb crap. It's great that you're known, but if you're not known for what you do, you're still not known, as it turns out. If I change my first name to Coca and my last name to Cola, I'm still not the number 1 beverage company in the world. Are we all tracking, right? I have to be known for what I do, not just have the name. Number 2 is curiosity. Visibility without curiosity is wallpaper. Hear me on that. Visibility without curiosity is straight up wallpaper, right? The goal is not to be seen, guys. And this is the problem that I see too many agents making with social media. I want to be seen, so I'll put myself in a bikini. I tried it once, guys. It doesn't work. I'm just going to tell you, right? Well, maybe I'm the wrong person for that strategy, but still, right? That doesn't work because you're being known for the wrong thing, unfortunately. Sorry, whomever thinks that's a great strategy, right? Or guys, here's me in the gym. Everybody, look how swole I am. Yeah, that doesn't make you a great real estate agent. What does make you known as a great real estate agent? I don't know. Maybe you closed a deal. Maybe somebody closed a deal and you're just documenting it. Maybe you're giving some market statistics. Maybe you're giving whatever. You're giving relevant, consumable information. You'll notice Zillow isn't going on social media with a bikini on, and yet they're the number 1 website in real estate. Sorry. See too many of the bikini pics, apparently. It's just driving me nuts, guys. This is not what you need to be consuming or posting. The goal is not to be seen. It's to make someone wonder about you. While the market's down, my clients are having their absolute best year ever. We've discovered a few secrets that are helping homeowners pull every single penny out of their properties. It's unbelievable. I'd love to share with any of you who are thinking about trying to do this. I'll give it away. Just give me a call. Happy to help. Whatever. I don't care. Just create some curiosity. I keep hearing from everyone how the market has stalled. My clients are having their best year ever. Hilarious. I must be doing something different. Anyway, love everybody. Curiosity. Conversations. All right. Now, this is where we get down to the meat and the potatoes, right? Curiosity is not converted into a conversation. Oh, sorry. Curiosity that isn't converted into a conversation evaporates in 48 hours. Hear me on that. Might be less, by the way. Might be less. In other words, if you generate curiosity with somebody, but then it doesn't turn into a conversation, it's just dead air, right? I might as well have just, I don't know, tutored on the fart chain out there on the radio. Somebody hears that happen. It doesn't really matter. It makes no difference. It's a tree falling in the woods. It's a bear pooping in the woods, whatever Old South expression you need to use. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter, right? You made noise, but nothing happened. Here's a picture of me barbecuing, friends. Yay! Doesn't create curiosity. Here's a picture of me barbecuing, having my best real estate year ever. Yay! 48 hours, nothing. Still nothing happened. You might as well have skipped the post, right? Create curiosity about yourself. Great question about that. An example of creating curiosity about yourself would be literally identifying that you just had this amazing relationship, closing, opening, whatever with a client, documenting process and then relational components of that process with those clients creates curiosity about you. What is it that you do differently out there in the marketplace? And by the way, remember that your clients and prospective clients have no clue what everyone else does. So you can create what's called a presupposition about that. And a presupposition is an implication where somebody will make an inference based on the words that you've used. You didn't necessarily say. I love creating a difference for my clients by really giving them the extra time that they need to make an informed decision so that they can not lose money like so many people are in this market right now. That implies that everyone else is helping their clients lose money, right? Now, is that true? No, of course not. But did you say it? No, of course not. Does it create curiosity about what it is that you're doing differently? Sure, right? Might be a good example, might be a bad example. It's one I would probably use though. Full transparency. Trust, however, comes from being able to deliver on those big promises. And that was the next step in our cycle. When we've created this curiosity, we've led to a conversation. During that conversation, we're going to talk about the actual nature and flow of those conversations and how that works. How do we actually get more of them? Because if you don't get them, it doesn't matter that you know how to do them. But from that conversation, our single goal will be to create trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in our process, trust in our outcomes, trust in our company, trust in our process, trust in our team, trust in them getting what they want. By the way, if the client wants to, if they're a buyer, what do they want? They care about their pocketbook to save money, right? Get a great house for a low price, lowest price possible. If they're a seller, they want exactly the opposite, right? They want the most money possible on that transaction, and your job is to stand in the middle and take a lot of shrapnel on your face. But guess what? The trust that's built is built around your capacity to help them exact their financial goals. Please write that down. People care about their money. You make it about the house, you've forgotten what you're even here for. You can tell me no, listen, some clients just care about the house. Sure, that's fine. What's your max price point, Mr. Smith? $500,000. Great, I found you the perfect house. It's $900,000. Is that okay? No. Why? Because they care about their money. Some people cannot extend beyond their natural point, right? And so sometimes we forget that it really just comes down to money. It's money, 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 money. That is what drives the entire economy of this business. We will talk about where these conversations hide, but if you have the wrong conversation with someone, then you don't build trust. Why? Because your ears might as well be closed. What are you talking about? I'm a great agent. I love my clients. I take care of everyone. I'm going to be your best friend. And guess what they hear? They didn't understand what my true need is. The reason people are fearful in this market right now is because they're worried about one thing and only one thing. What is it? Money. It's the only thing that they care about right now. When the market gets tight, that's all they care about. Now, downstream from this, when we come back into a ripping market, which will happen, by the way, but when that happens, then they will care about winning multiple offers and getting the right house and a whole bunch of other things, the size of the backyard, a bunch of other things. Money is the game right now. So repeated conversations is how we build trust that, by the way, converts over time. Then we turn into an appointment. You have to be an appointment setting king or queen. You just have to. If you're having 100 conversations and you set one appointment, that is horrible. Okay? Your conversion rate needs to be north of 10% at a bare minimum. 10%. So you have 10 conversations, you get one appointment. And this needs to be a real appointment, not like, will you have coffee with me and talk about your kids? This is like, will you have coffee with me and talk about buying or selling real estate? Hear me on that. That is an appointment. If you're not talking about a transaction that could transact, you're not having an appointment, you're having a coffee date. But trust converts into a meeting. It could be coffee, could be a walkthrough, right? You might have to get some BAA in the way of that, unless you're doing like an open house. Might be a call, but the appointment is where that trust becomes tangible. Meaning they can see, feel, smell, hopefully not smell too much. See, feel, right? They can understand who you are as a real human being. This is so important. Then we get to the one part that we think starts the real estate process, although it's downstream from everything we've talked about now. A listing agreement, a buyer agreement. The appointment earns you the right to ask for the business. And by the way, do you have to, in this market in particular, all my top producers out there, do you have to ask for the business? Yes, confidently too, by the way. You cannot expect that someone's simply going to show up and say, hey, Christine, here's a transaction. Hey, Lexi, here's a listing. Hey, Scott, here's a buyer, right? That's nice. If that happens, congratulations. That's amazing. I love it. But guess what? That's not going to happen. I'm just going to tell you right now, you have to ask for the business. Listen, this is amazing. I can understand that there's some fear points baked around this. I'm unbelievably confident that we can hit all of your objectives financially here, but we need to get on the market now so we can avoid the competition that's coming downstream from this. Let's get in while the getting's good, and let's get out there so we can start moving this house, right? Confident. Boom. Let's go ahead and get this thing signed up today. I want to go ahead and start pre-marketing. I'm going to make some calls this afternoon. I'll send you over the paperwork. Can you get that signed by 4 o'clock so we can try and get this broker loaded and get the process started, maybe go live by Friday, right? Like just take them, the bull by the horns. By the way, Lexi and I have a neighbor. This is hilarious. We have a neighbor who has goats in their backyard. We walk our dogs by it every day. And it's a mama goat. She's got 3 babies. It's really cute. We love the babies and our dogs are totally obsessed. But the mama goat's a bit of an idiot, I will tell you. And she's got this like, what do you call it? Hog fencing or whatever, the metal fencing. And she'll stick her head through to try to get to the awesome grasses that are on the other side of that fence, even though there's a crap load of grass on her side. But the grass is always greener, as we all know, on the other side of the fence. And then guess what happens? She's got these little back-facing horns, and she just gets stuck and she cannot get out. And so half the time on the walk, not half the time, but a bunch of times on the walk, we'll see her head stuck through the fence and the babies are nursing on her, but she's literally stuck. And she's like, oh, dang it. And the farmer will always come out and help her eventually, but I jump over there and help pull her out. Why am I bringing that up? I don't know, but stories convert. All right. So, but remember that you have to ask for the business. You have to ask for the business, guys. And that's an important part. All right. I can tell I'm getting older when my brain loses it like that. Commission's the outcome of all this, guys. If you're focused on commissions, guess what you're not having? Conversations. If you're focused on conversations, guess what you might have more of? Yeah. Yeah. And thank you, by the way. Nancy gave me my brain back. We're stuck when we don't call. Yeah, you don't want to get stuck like the goat. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Nancy, you're amazing. That feels good. All right, and we're back. All right. So you got to master the loop. And remember, just to take you back to it really quickly, this is the loop, right? Take a picture if you need to. Visibility creates curiosity. Curiosity creates conversation. Conversation is where you develop trust. Trust gives you an appointment. Appointments where you have to ask for the business and get a signed what? Agreement. If you don't have a signed what? Agreement, do you have a client? No. I'll talk to people at the beginning of a coaching conversation. It's like, how many clients do you have right now? Oh, I've got 26. Wow, that's amazing. So you have 26 signed agreements with people. No, I've got one. Well, then you have one client. You have 25 friends. Maybe they're not even friends. You have 25 people who are humoring you right now. But they're all going to work with the number one agent in town. Why? Because that agent's going to ask for the business. Whoops. There are 20 laws of conversation. And this is where we're going to start having to rip pretty quickly because I just realized what time it is. You guys are get ready to buckle in. But this is going to be amazing. And this is the operating system, in my opinion, that the top 1% run without ever writing it down. You should write it down, by the way. Today, that's what we're going to do. But I want you to know these. These are laws, absolute laws of conversation. So laws 1 through 5 this is the foundation. And in my opinion, this is how conversations start and how they travel. We're going to go through these quickly, but I'm going to hit you hard on the head with each of these because what you're going to start to realize is, this is actually what's missing in my business. You might think, oh, this is lightweight. Jeff doesn't understand. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. This works. I know because Lexi and I have coached on this, and every single time we coach on it, we triple someone's business. Doesn't matter the market. It's been in every single market. Every single flipping market. We triple the business. Why? Because they take control of conversations. Conversations create appointments, boom, 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 and we go through the cycle, right? If you're just hopping on, here's the cycle. How do we build it? Laws 1 through 5. All right. The person asking questions controls the conversation. I feel like this is the most foundational law. That's why it's number 1. Whoever is asking is leading. Whoever is pitching is following. Whoopsie. Zig Ziglar used to say, in a sales encounter, both sides are trying to sell each other. You're trying to sell them on why they need you. They're trying to sell you on why they don't. Ever talk to a FISBO? You'll know how true that is. Can I get a name in? Right? Top producers very rarely pitch. And this is something you should understand. I know so many young producers who will tell, I'm working on my sales pitch. I'm like, yeah, well, stop that immediately. There's your problem. I can't tell you how much time I worked on my sales pitch, right? And then I partnered with this amazing person, Lexi Sanchez. She didn't learn it. She went out and she closed like 10 times as much business as I ever had on the listing side. And I'm like, what pitch are you using? She's like, no, I'm not. I'm just talking to people, asking, helping them. And then she remembers things about them, like the kids' names and stuff that I never cared about. Why? Because I was focused on who? Myself, not them. Whoops. You learn as you go, guys. They ask one more question than feels comfortable and then let the silence do the work while the other person fills it. How many people other than me have a very hard time leaving silence in any room that you're in, right? It's like a plague in real estate. We all think we're so damn intelligent and that everything we have to say is smart. And we just got to get I got one more zinger. This will get them to sign. Ironically, if you had just shut the hell up, they probably would have signed. You talked yourself right back into failure. So in your next call, just ask 3 questions before you make any statements. I might recommend to play a game that we used to play in our real estate team, which took us into the top 1% in the first year in a new market, by the way. And the game was called Only Questions, meaning the only thing you're allowed to do on the entire call is ask questions, but you need to make it feel conversational. Good luck. It's hard, by the way, especially if you haven't done it before. You're going to sound like a total idiot. So do it with your mom first so you don't blow your first call. All right. Number 2, speed beats perfection. For my perfectionists, my high C's on this call, let it go. Let it go. A fast good enough beats a slow perfect every time. So what does this mean? Well, in the field, the agent who replies in 3 minutes with an imperfect answer wins the client. The agent who replies in 3 hours with a polished one loses. If you've ever tried to get a referral, you understand this. People placing a referral do not give a crap about finding the best agent. They want to get this off their plate so they can go back to their business. So if you're just the first person on the phone with them, even if it annoys them, guess what? almost guaranteed you have the business. My very favorite thing was just to call people up. Hey, Joe, I hear you have a referral for our area here and wherever, right? Albuquerque. It's so exciting. Tell me a little bit about your client's needs. I just asked a what? Question. If he starts talking, did I just win the business? Yes, so long as I don't blow it from there. If he's like, well, they're, in their 20s and they go to blah, 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 blah. Great, ask another question. And then the blah, 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 blah. Great, 25% good with you? Sure, awesome, signed, sealed, delivered, bada boom, bada bing, let's get this thing closed, right? So I get the business, but I have to ask the questions. So I have to go quick too. Set a 5-minute reply standard for every new inquiry, no exceptions. How do I do it? Listen, we're not here to cover every single how. If you can't figure that out, maybe you're just doomed to failure, or maybe you could figure it out. Amazingly, I see people checking their Instagram while doing showings for homes. So maybe you could just reply to the text message while the client figures out what the bedroom looks like all by themselves. Next. Curiosity creates conversations. We covered this. Remember, this is in the loop. Curiosity creates conversations. Nobody replies to checking in. Hey, just checking in, just checking in, just checking on you. I just wanted to check on the checking of the checky. Terrible, worst phrase on the planet. Everybody replies to a question that they didn't expect you to ask about their life. Sure, ask about their life. If they're actively pursuing real estate, you can ask about that, by the way. But if they're not, and you don't know, should you maybe know something about their life, though? Hey, I know Little League just started. Think Timmy was involved. How's it going? Well, that's interesting. They're pretty likely to respond to that. They're going to seem like a turd. But replace your just checking in text with one specific curious question. Even if that question is, hey, I know you had been thinking last year about buying a house. I just found a foreclosure that looks like a perfect fit for you. If you found the perfect deal right now, would you still be interested? Even if you've never met that person, they might respond to that text. I know. So I used to send 1,000 of those at a time. Visibility creates familiarity. What is visibility? Well, it's the agent who shows up everywhere. Interestingly, if you're the most known, you're probably one of the best without even having to be the best. So many agents are worried about how great they are at their job that they forget that nobody knows that they exist. And if nobody knows that you exist, are you really great at your job? Because what is your job in real estate? To be great at paperwork? I mean, it would be nice, right? But if you have no clients, how great is that paperwork coming? Well, I don't have any clients, so I'm not doing any paperwork. Ergo, doesn't really matter. You could be great at tying shoes. If you don't own shoes, you've got a problem. Everyone tracking? You have to be upstream from that downstream problem. You have to solve the first problem first. Let's put it that way. So you just have to be one of the people that people blurt out when you say, who are your 2 favorite real estate agents in town? Right? They're going to list the 2 that they know. They're not going to list the 2 that are their favorite. That's the person with the billboard who's hitting them over the head with every social media ad, who's in their inbox 26 times a week, who's in their phone all the time, who's annoying. And you're like, well, I don't want to be annoying. Well, then be unknown. That's okay. Pick one channel and show your face on it weekly without fail for 90 days. Honestly, just try that. Some agents are worried about being loud. Those agents are also worried about paying their mortgage, unfortunately. You need to be loud right now. You need to be proud of the fact that you're amazing. You need to be out there because that's how you're going to create familiarity. And that's that visibility that leads to conversations. Familiarity is what creates trust, right? Trust is not a pitch. It's not magic words. Everyone's trying to look for the perfect script. If I say then they'll trust me. No, they won't. Being a trustworthy human being is how you develop trust. It's a residue that builds after the 5th, 6th, 7th time you see somebody and they show up the same way, right? I used to watch our team convert for sale by owner properties all the time. Man, we kept a huge board. We'd have 60, 70 FSBOs that we were tracking actively. And what we noticed was right around the 7th or 8th conversation, real conversation, they started converting. You'll notice I didn't say first. The first call is horrifying. That person is mean on the first call. Ugh. By the 7th or 8th call, they start trusting you. They know that you're not there to take. So you need to start tracking how many times a contact has been seen or heard before you ask for the business even. I would recommend in this market, by the way, ask for the business every single time, but it could be lighter at the beginning and heavier as you get later, but you still need to build trust. All right. Continuing, we've got 20 of these bad boys. Laws 6 through 10. These are the assets. This is what you're really building. Remember, laws 1 through 5, that we were talking about the foundation, yes? Right? But laws 6 through 10, this is where you're building assets. What are you actually building to make sure that we have this conversation economy, the whole engine? All right. We said trust creates what? Or familiarity creates trust. Trust creates appointments. And we know this. Nobody invites a stranger into their kitchen to talk about the biggest financial decision of their life. They invite someone that they trust. There's a reason so many people do transactions with Christine Kites. There's a reason so many people do transactions with Joe Yates. I see these people on the call, incredible agents. Why do they do so much business? Because they build trust, but they build it at light speed, you guys. You are still thinking about how to maybe ask a question about the bazoobaza. They've already demonstrated expertise, built trust, built a comprehensive understanding of why they've been successful in the past, of other clients who've trusted them. They have the market presence out there. And then people look at them and they go, I can trust this person. Let me move forward, right? They want to move forward, by the way. Clients want to move forward. So you have to stop asking for an appointment, though, before you've earned the trust that makes the appointment obvious. How do you build trust? Build competence. Sound smart. Everyone's trying to make a best friend on the call. You don't have to make a best friend. You have to sound intelligent about the marketplace and like you've got this, especially in this freaking market. They don't want a best friend. They want an operator. They want somebody who can freaking deliver results. If you're my real estate agent right now and you're friendly and terrible at your job, and by terrible at your job, I mean the negotiation, the hardcore part of your job, the part where it gets uncomfortable for you, you're fired. I'll go find somebody who's a crusher, who's a Marine. Thank you, Joe. All right. Stories outperform statistics. Stories, right? Does anyone remember a goat story from a few minutes ago? Even though I had no absolute point. Thank you, Nancy, for bringing me back to sanity. Stories outperform statistics. You can give people market stats all day long. You tell them about what just happened with another client and how much you love them and how it worked out for them. Guess what? Do they remember that? Yes. Do they remember the market where 72% of the bazooba nose pick doesn't care? Who cares? They're moving on. Numbers literally are part of what's called a hypnotic process. You can hypnotize people using numbers. Do you want your clients hypnotized? No, because they will literally trance out. I mean, maybe if you get really good at it. But but no, they'll trance out and they'll stop hearing what you're saying. Stories create memories. They anchor information to an emotion, and an emotion will make someone actually move to action. Nobody's ever cried over a cap rate. I mean, maybe a couple lenders have, right? But plenty of people have teared up over the story of a family that finally got their dream backyard, right? And it was amazing. Why? Because little Timmy needed this, because he broke his arm and the whatever, wah. Okay. But something happened. And you connect with that because it feels what? Human. Those of you who are just unfettered right now, letting AI write all of your crap out there, and you're forgetting that you've stripped the humanity, people want to connect with other humans. If you go on social media right now, it's like 99% AI generated drizzle. Be the one human out there. Replace one market stats slide in your next listing presentation with one client story. Or for that matter, by the way, don't have a listing presentation. Just talk to people like a human being does. Attention is rented. Has anyone ever experienced this before? That you can gain attention by something that happens in the marketplace and then it goes away. What do they call that? A news cycle, right? Doesn't matter your political orientation. We see this play out right now we have a president who is very good at getting attention, right? And when that attention is gained, whether it's positive or negative, is irrelevant. It happens. It's really huge for a minute. But then what happens a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks later? Is the same attention on the same thing? Yes or no? No. Attention is rented. It's temporary. Relationships are owned. And this business is a relationships business. No matter how much you want it to be transactional, it's amazing. Can you accelerate? Yeah. Can you do 200 deals a year? Yeah. You can have 200 relationships. Newsflash, people have 500 people at their wedding. I'm guessing they can have 200 relationships. Not that big of a deal. The algorithm can take your reach away tomorrow though. This is an important thing to realize. If you're playing the social media game and you've never had your account blocked or restricted, congratulations, but it's coming. So that better not be the only thing that's propping up your business or you're going to go bankrupt. But it can never take away the 50 people who have your cell number and use it all the time. They ask you for advice. Lexi will get calls from people who are not even in our market. I'm going to use her as an example again because she's so much better at this than I am. Who will just ask her for advice. I got this house and I need to do this. And what do you think I should do? And she'll ask questions. She just doesn't start blathering. She just asks them questions. I've heard this happen. It's beautiful. Why do they trust her? Because she listens to them and understands their situation. She won't even answer sometimes. She'll say, let me think about this. Or I need to ask one of my good friends. Will they call her again if she says, I need to ask? Yes. Do you ask Google? Yeah. Where's it getting its information? Not from its brain. Well, maybe from its brain now. Things are changing. Anyway, do this. Move one follower in your phone into your CRM this week. Social media is not relationship media, right? Joe says, I think agents can also fall victim to thinking that they have a relationship just because they used you before or they stayed mildly in contact. These days, they can end up in someone else's portal and be gone before you know it. Truth bomb. Mic drop. We could end right there, Joe. Completely. In fact, there are agents in your town who are working to get that relationship while you're just sending them a meaningless newsletter. You could have called them for 5 minutes. In fact, if all you did all week long was just call people that are in your phone, and that was literally the only thing you did. But Jeff, I have so many other, sure you do. But outsource that shit, call people all week long. I'm telling you, you'll have more business than you can imagine by the end of the week. But nobody will do it. I don't know why. It is the only thing that matters in your entire life, right? You can just never take people for granted. So ramp up, get the conversations. Every ignored database is buried money. This is so fascinating to me. Okay, so I used to do this like mastermind training, and we bring in mega top producers. I mean, people doing tons of deals. And we would say, awesome. Listen, what we want you to do on session number 1 is bring in your database. How many people are in it? And they'd say, well, I think it's about, we've got roughly, it was always an approximation. So it's probably a few of the number of people. And it was a train wreck. Their database didn't exist. They'd not been keeping track, and it never had slowed down enough to take 4 days off, right? They'll take 4 days off to go to Maui, but they won't take 4 days off to go to database world and fill out a spreadsheet in Google. And that spreadsheet is their data bank, right? We had a great training on that years ago. Data bank. This is where your money hides. It is in those relationships. You could start at the top, go to the bottom, and then cycle back. I'm telling you right now, and the bigger the list gets, the bigger your bank account gets. But somewhere in your CRM right now is a past client whose neighbor's about to list. You just didn't know. You haven't talked to them in 14 months, and you think that's okay because you're like, well, it's okay. They bought last year, so they're not buying again this year. Yeah, you're right, but their neighbor is, and so is their friend, and so is their coworker, and their mom just died, and she needs to sell her house, and they just inherited $260 million, and they were going to buy every single investment property in town. But you missed all of it because you're like, well, it's only been 14 months. Pull your oldest 20 contacts and reach out to all of them this week. Oldest 20. The people who've known you the longest. Not mom and dad. Get outside the family. Family's the worst. My parents have never sent me a referral. I love them, by the way. My parents aren't the worst, but they've never sent me a referral. All right. Your CRM is either growing or dying. A database left untouched doesn't sit still. It just decays. It falls apart. It's biological, guys. Why? Because there's people on the other side of it. Literally, some of them will die over time. If you've never had a client die, hold on to your butt. It's coming. Numbers change. People move. Memories of you fade. One silent month at a time. Right? You are not as memorable as you friggin' think you are. Neither am I. I want to be. My ego wants me to be desperately, but it's not true. If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, you guys would be like, oh, it's too bad. 6 months from now, you wouldn't be thinking about me. Oh, I promise. Add 5 real contacts and touch 10 before Friday, right? What does this mean? It means you can go out there and actually generate conversations right out of thin air. Dang it. If only we knew how to do it. Laws 11 through 15. These are the multipliers. Now, great coach in the real estate industry, Hank of Inc., always says do multiplication, not addition. What does that mean? Don't do one by one. Do two times two times two times two times two. Gets a lot bigger, compounding interest. So we need to scale, but without losing our human touch. How do we start to scale conversations? Well, this is where we can start getting into some technology a little bit. Video scales conversations. This is a great tool for this, underutilized across the industry. Right? I remember when a Bomb video, right? Came out and everyone's like, I don't know, it's kind of expensive. But then there were a few agents, like Pinky down in Florida and a few others, who like leaned into this. She became number one agent all of Remax or something like that. I mean, it was like bananas, right? People went insane for a while using video to simply break through the noise. Trackable video, even better. That's what that gave you, right? So you could see if somebody watched it. One 60-second video. Some of you have never said your name in 60 seconds before. You just need to tighten up a lot more. You're not that cool, and nobody wants to watch a 12.5-minute video you just recorded for them. It's more like a birthday message, right? Like if it's longer than it would take for you to sing happy birthday, shut up. But sending a texted video is fun and personal. By the way, Lexi does this for friends and family. We do this, by the way, when we wish people happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, but good night. Right? Like that's the end of it. I don't want to have a 26-hour conversation. I want you to know I was thinking about you. But when you see me, does it enhance the relationship value, right? Does it go up or down? Up. Why? Because especially if I sent Christine a video right now that I'm like, hey, Christine, I'm just thinking about you, and I hope you have an amazing day. You know, things are great out here. Anyway, no need to reply. Talk to you soon. And I sent that video. She knows it was just for her. Does she feel important? Yes. Does she feel elevated? Yes. Does she know it took me time? Yes. Is she doing that for people today? I don't know. But, right, I know that for the average person, that feels like, wow, this person really, like that, they care about me. That's really cool, right? And it would feel different than just getting a text message. All text. It's just a different thing. So I would recommend this. Record one 60-second, maybe like a neighborhood update, and send it to your entire list. Or better yet, record a neighborhood update about one specific neighborhood and then send it to 5 people that you happen to have who are in that damn neighborhood. That'd be cool. Hey, Jim, just wanted to let you know houses in your neighborhood are actually selling pretty quickly right now, despite all of the news that makes you think you should jump off a bridge. Follow-up compounds. What is follow-up? Has anyone ever done that? Follow-up is where you talk to someone more than once. I wish I could make it any simpler than that, but that is what it is. Follow-up is not where you say just checking in, though. Remember, most agents quit at touch number 3. I think that's generous, but I did find that statistic online. The commission lives at touch 8, though. Commission lives at touch 8. So if you're like, well, I talked to them and then I followed up and nothing happened. Well, okay. Congratulations on starting to do your job. How was it at touch number 7? Still not willing to do anything? Well, touch 8 is where you get paid. Have you done that? So build a follow-up sequence, right? It could be simple, you guys. Write their name down and draw 8 boxes. I don't even care what you do, and then fill them in when you get there. You could fill them in with crayons if you want. I don't really care. It'll still work. That's what's amazing about technology is it can be a piece of paper and a pen. It does not matter. In fact, Gene Frederick went to being the #1 agent in Texas using a legal pad and exactly what I just described. Dick Dillingham used to use a box with a bunch of note cards, and he would just cycle them through, and he would put the note card into the next week, and he had everything sorted by 52 weeks, so he knew who he had to follow up with each week, and then the note cards got moved. That's a pretty simple system. It's a beautiful CRM. It's better than the one that you're not using right now. Follow-up compounds. The commission never comes from the first conversation. I say never, almost never. We've all had that one, and the problem with that one is it convinces you that the commission does come from the first conversation, but it doesn't. It comes from the 8th if you want to do more than 2 deals a year. It comes from being the only person who followed up 8 times without, listen to this, without being annoying. I had to make that annoying to make sure it stuck. So you have to build a follow-up sequence that runs even on the days that you forget to think about it. And that's okay. It can be highly personalized, but you still need to probably do it. And while there's a lot of AI out there and a lot of stuff that can start to supplant some of this, I will tell you the more personal it is and the more real it is to you, the better your results are going to be. Now, can AI help you drop monster scale? We're going to talk about AI in just a minute, by the way. Drop monster scale on the back end of this? Hell yeah. I'm a scale guy all day long. I like to hit big numbers with low percentages, but you got to be able to ride those margins all day long. And if you don't know how to do that, then guess what? You're out of business. And yes, Elizabeth talked about how this is 100% how she built her all referral business. Huge monster agent out of Texas, guys. Massively competitive market, too. Ooh, listen to this. Oh, come on. We're popping some bubbles today. How many agents out there want to be celebrities, right? Oh, I'm so important. Dang it. Do your clients care that you think you're important? Nope. I'll tell you this, I don't. And if I was hiring, by the way, I probably would hire an agent locally. And if I was hiring an agent tomorrow, I would care about only one thing, and that's my money. Whether I'm buying or selling, irrelevant. It's my money. At the end of the day, that is what I care about. It's not because I'm only focused on money. It's because money is the upstream thing from all the other crap I care about, right? Do I care about the size of the bedroom? Sure. The bathroom? Sure. All that stuff? Yes. Their competence? Sure. The fact that they're a celebrity? 0%. So you need to be an authority, not a celebrity. How do you sound authoritative? I don't know something about something. So you need to know the streets, the schools, the district, the market. What's interesting, and I won't do this because I don't want to put people on the spot, but if I unmuted right now and I named a neighborhood in Albany, Oregon, and I said, Christine, tell me what's going on in that neighborhood. She could tell me like the last 3 houses that sold, what color they were, how many bedrooms, which wall had a hole in it because somebody had bumped their head. She knows exactly whether it has granite or, formica or I don't know. She knows. She knows her market cold, right? I could name a bunch of other top producers. Christine's on the top of my list right here on the screen right now. So I'm just telling you guys, if you're wondering the difference between you and a top producer, this is a huge part of it, right? If you show up and they're like, well, tell me about the market. You're like, well, it's pretty good and things are nice and everyone's happy. And you're like, okay, you're not telling me about anything. You don't know. And they know that you don't know. You're not fooling anyone because you're nice or you smile or you're pretty or you have a good hair day, right? Like I have nothing but bad hair days. But people trusted me because I showed up with accuracy and knowledge. And it turns out I'm the kind of person that's motivated by knowledge. So that this part was easy for me. If it's harder for you, that's okay, but you need to change your motivation, right? Lexi and I have a puppy right now, and we learned recently, we've talked to a dog trainer because she's a lunatic, like just total sociopath, and we're like, okay, we got to get this dog under control. And we talked to this dog trainer, and she said, well, dogs have, I think it was 12 or 13, Lex, primary, 14, there it is, primary motivations. And one of them is what's called prey drive, which is where they want to chase something and catch it. Turns out that is her number one drive. If she sees a lizard, yes. She sees a moth, yes. She sees a fly, yes. She sees a piece of lint flying in the air, yes. It's just prey. Everything she wants to go and kill. Why does that matter? Because that is literally her main driver. It's easy for her. But all of the other motivators don't work very well. You got to figure out what motivates you, and then there are going to be certain things that are going to feel like an uphill battle. If this is one of them, you still have to tackle it. You need to become an authority on your market. When you go show a house, you need to know the other 3 houses that just sold in that neighborhood. Well, how would I do that? Are you serious? Open the MLS and don't be a dweezil. That's how. It's not that hard. This is not that hard, guys. Nobody's getting a job at like SpaceX and having to design rockets to be able to open the MLS and figure out 3 houses that just sold and what color they were. The blue one that just sold right around the corner sold for $485. Like that is an easy sentence to remember. You could write it down if you had to. People buy certainty. Ooh, man, this is a good one. Talk to 10 top producers. You will hear 10 very confident people speak to you. Is their confidence always earned? I have no idea. That's irrelevant. Confidence is a state of mind, not a state of earned. It doesn't have to be earned. You have to decide that you're confident. How do you get more confident? Gain more knowledge, do more transactions. But you need to be certain on day one. In an uncertain market, especially though, people are showing up. They're feeling vulnerable, right? If you're buying right now, you're like, interest rates aren't 3% anymore. Oh, we bought a house one other time and it was so cheap. And now things are so much more expensive and prices have doubled in the last 8 years. And what am I ever going to do? And people are all getting replaced by AIs and everything's going to go to doom in a handbasket. And okay, maybe. But you need to be certain about their future for them and give them some of that certainty so they can borrow some of yours. Does that make sense? That's what they're doing in this conversation. How do you do that? By asking strong questions. If you're going to say something, say it short and authoritatively, right? Certainty closes them. Confusion loses listings every time, though. Every time. And don't lie. I'm going to pepper that one in here. I say this in like every training. Too many agents trying to get away with lying. If it's your first $2 million listing appointment and they say, have you ever sold a house in my price point? Say no. There aren't many houses in your price point in our market. In fact, that's why you're going to need such a successful and experienced agent, is to figure out how to break through that silence. This is a really big deal for you, and I'd hate for you to lose money by aligning with a poor agent. It's not that hard, guys. You don't have to say yes, and you haven't. Liar. Don't do it. Energy transfers. Clients don't just remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel when you said it, and then they mirror it back to you. That last part, by the way, if you've never heard that part of this little phrase, is a big thing. When a client starts being rude or nasty or passive aggressive or whatever to you, they are mirroring an emotion that you handed them based on your actions. It's all your fault, is what I'm trying to tell you. Also, when you're successful, it's all your fault. That's the nice part. So you have a great year, it's all your fault. You have a bad year, it's all your fault. You want to figure it out? Go look in the mirror. You have to notice your energy in the 5 minutes before every call and then reset it if it's flat, right? Lexi and I have really studied a lot of neurolinguistic programming. Sometimes you can attach this to like a song. You could attach it to a smell. Some people use that. There can be ways to trigger it, right? Where you can kind of get right back in state and it can help you kick into a zone where you're like ready to deliver on point every time, right? Not everybody shows up with butterflies shooting out of their butt, and that is okay. But you need to be ready to go. When you talk to somebody, you need to be rainbows, sunshine, butterflies, unicorns, dolphins, whatever gets you there. All right? And laws 16 through 20. The mastery, this is what separates the top 1% from everyone else. And now is where it gets really, really weird. Because these last 5 things I'm going to tell you right now are things that you're probably not doing very well right now, especially if you have any stress in your business. Number 1, frequency wins. The agent who reaches out monthly loses to the agent who reaches out weekly every single time. And what are we afraid? Well, I just don't want to fatigue them. It's inbox fatigue. Okay. Then I'll do more deals than you. I don't care about inbox fatigue. I care about sending them irrelevant information a lot. But if I'm selling relevant or sending relevant, high value information, I'm calling regularly, I care about their family, I'm in touch, I'm inviting them to an event. Next thing I do, I'm doing a giveaway for a Green Mountain smoker. I don't know what I'm doing, right? Whatever. Yeah, change up the methodology, but deliver value in multiple ways. Thank you, Lexi. You're going channel by channel and item by item and idea by idea, right? Eventually it doesn't feel like the same person. It feels like, wow, this person's just everywhere all the time. How do you touch them in other multiple ways? Well, maybe you have some type of, whether it's digital or physical, don't hear billboard and get confused. It used to be that billboards were a thing, right? If you drive through Albuquerque, it's where we live, or just outside, right? There still, for some reason, every injury attorney in town decided that lawyers should have billboards in this town. And it's like laughable. There are so many of them. Billboards are still a real deal. But can we do digital billboards today? Yes or yes? In fact, there's ways to be seen a lot more, right? I see Scott Gephardt on the call. He's a genius when it comes to like Google placement, local business ads, all that kind of stuff, right? Is that a billboard? Of course it is. It's a billboard on their device. Are they going to drive by it? Sure. When they're on their device, that's when they drive by it. That's okay. It's still a billboard. The concepts haven't changed. The delivery methods have over time. But this matters a lot. So you got to double the frequency of touches to your top 50 relationships for the next 60 days. And I think this matters a ton. Maybe more than you could possibly understand. If you really took 50 top people who you know they love and trust you, and you just really decided to make those relationships sing for the next 50 days. And I mean sing like you never have before, like your life depended on it. You would be in the money. It doesn't have to be about real estate, interestingly, in that one. Conversations create confidence. This one is such a big deal. Confidence is not a personality trait, it's a rep count, right? If I look the way that I do right now and I go into the gym and I pick up a 400-pound deadlift, what's going to happen next? Well, my lower lumbar is going to shoot out like a frisbee and I'm going to pass out, fall on the floor. People are going to laugh at me. It's going to be awful, right? Just because I'm confident doesn't matter. But if I start low and I do reps, do I gain confidence over time? Yes, right? It's a muscle. You have to work it. The agents who seem naturally confident on stage or on camera aren't naturally anything. I'm not. Now, granted, I did start my life as a musician, so I've been on stage since I was like 5. So that's a different thing. I know a lot of people who had to work on this part, but you need to work on this. So rehearse your listing conversations out loud alone before your next real one. By the way, stop practicing the piano on stage at Carnegie Hall. Nobody wants to listen to that crap. You practice before you get to the event, right? I have a friend, total psycho for Dave Matthews. I don't understand, right? I didn't even know that Dave Matthews was still alive. And he goes to like every Dave Matthews event still, right? And he's like, oh my God, I just go to every Dave Matthews concert. But you know what Dave Matthews doesn't do? He doesn't go out on stage and he's like, no, how do I, hold on, can somebody put the tab up here so I can learn how to play this riff? No, he's friggin' polished on stage, I'm sure. Yeah, literally every single concert. It is totally weird. And awesome, by the way, awesome. I didn't know people did that. It's awesome. But Deadheads did that for them, and I assume there's people for every band. So, but people who are naturally confident have simply had that conversation 1,000 times before. If anyone's ever seen Joe Yates do his presentation about his buyer presentation, it's hilarious because he will do the same sentence 26 times in a row. It sounds identical every single time. Why? Because he's confident. Why? Because he's done that sentence 2 trillion times before. He couldn't say it wrong if he tried. He could try to say it wrong, it would come out right by accident. That's how confident he is. Is that confidence a mindset? No, it's confidence is an outcome at that point. Okay. We need to understand that's a huge difference. Momentum creates momentum. It's a compounding effect. So if we do reps, we gain momentum. If we have momentum, we keep spinning. One good conversation makes the next one easier. Has anyone ever called somebody you're like afraid to call and it goes well? And then you're like, dude, I should call somebody else. Yeah, you should, dummy. But guess what? You should have done that after the bad conversation too, because the next one would be good. And if that one was bad, who cares? The next one will be good. And here's the problem that I have. And Lexi can verify this, I am a terminal optimist. I believe everything is going to work out amazingly well all the time for literally no rational reason whatsoever, other than I just really love that feeling. But I can't turn it off, you guys. This did help me as a lead generator because someone would tell me to F myself and go die on the phone. These were cold calls, by the way. These weren't my like top 50. And I'd be like, the next one's going to be amazing. This is going to be great. I can't wait. Call the next person. Lie to myself. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Felt good. Keep going. Schedule your hardest outreach first thing in the morning before anything else. If you want your day to just unfold and get easier and easier and easier, don't put off that one thing you should be doing. You guys know the one right now. It's like the price reduction call you need to make on that listing that's probably $200,000 overpriced right now. And you're like, ugh, I can't do it, right? Like, we've all had that feeling. It's awful. And it's your own dumb fault. They told you the price and you bought the listing with their price. It was stupid. That's okay. Forgive yourself. But call them and be honest. Just be honest and empathetic. Systems outperform motivation. You can be motivated as hell, and if you're disorganized as hell, you're not going to be very productive. You need to be systematized. System can be easy. It could be 1 happens, and then after 1, 2 happens, and then after 2, 3 happens. That's a system. Some of you think this is way fancier than it needs to be. You can write it down on a piece of paper. You could pin it in your wall. It would take you 2 seconds right now. You do not need automation chops and AI chops and a bunch of other BS. You can get to that later. For right now, let's go earn some commissions. And then you can use that money to go hire somebody who knows how to do that crap for you. True or true? Yes. Let's just get past that. Motivation shows up for the seminar, but it disappears by Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, so you're in trouble. A system doesn't care how you feel on Wednesday. A system just goes. It just works, right? You work the system. So you're going to need to turn your best week ever into a checklist that you can run on your worst week ever. One of my coaches said this to me. I really love this. Figure out everything you did on your best week ever. I mean, ever. Even if you're delusional about what that week was, right? Which many of us are. I called everyone. It was amazing. I had this going on and I had that going on. Good. Write it all down and then go down that like it's a damn checklist and do all that again. You don't need to have a best week ever. You need to have a best system ever that you can run every single week, period. End of story. And then stop evaluating your weeks, good and bad or stupid words anyway. And then conversation is the highest return on investment activity in real estate. And by the way, ROI is important. By the way, return on attention is a huge thing. If it takes your time and doesn't earn you more money, it's not a great ROI because it's taking all of your attention and it's not paying you. It's stealing your life value. This is why many times I'm ultra focused on things that just waste time. Should I spend a bunch of time creating a poster? No, you should call 26 more people in the same amount of time. Skip the poster. Tell your clients you don't do posters. Nobody does. Not the new logo, not the boosted ad, not the fancier sign, not the real conversation, not doing your hair for 6.5 hours so that you can take the perfect selfie. Right? Just outperform a month of marketing spend by just doing this. And the highest leverage hour of your day is the hour you spend actually talking to people. Who was it last year or the year before we had on this Core 90? Joe would know who this was. Oh, Steve. No. Yes, maybe. Steve, who was just talking about, he just talked for like 3-4 hours every single day. He's doing like 80, 90 deals a year. Solo agent, couple people maybe taking referrals on the side, that kind of a thing. Am I getting that name right?
Yeah, but it's 100 deals.
100 deals. Okay. Well, sorry, I was way off. So does that matter? I mean, I feel like it should. I feel like it should matter. What was his only behavior he did? Talk to people. And if you've ever talked to this guy, by the way, he cares about you. And he remembers you and your life and the things that matter to you. He's a human being and he's a really, really good one. And what's cool about that is if you're just a great human, I think you'll outperform a great quote unquote agent 10 out of 10. You can be a great agent, I suppose, without being a great human, but then no one's going to like you. So, I would shoot for the good human and watch everything else line up right behind it. And good humans care about other people. They care about their needs, their wants, their desires, what makes them tick, and what they actually need out of life and out of a real estate transaction. Now, we're going to turn this into a system because I know I was just going to leave you with system and then you were going to go get panicked and not actually make it happen. So let's just put a system together. There's this old phrase that says, what gets measured gets multiplied. Remember we said multiplication versus addition? That was that Hank quote. If we want multiplication, then we need a system. And I think having a daily conversation scorecard is the way to do that. So take a screenshot of this or just write it down on a piece of paper or whatever you want to do. I don't really care. And what I'd like for you to do is to start to track these items. It's just a number, guys. You could even you remember the little checkbox thing where you go tick, 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 cross. What are those called? I don't even remember, right? Tick, 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 cross. It's for the 5, and then tick, 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 cross, and now we're at 10, right? What are those called? Does anyone even know what those things are called? They're not Roman numerals. Anyway, it doesn't matter, right? So there's little tick boxes. Just do that here so you can start to track this. And then here's the interesting thing about hatches. Thank you. Here's the interesting thing about doing that system here. This system that you can see on your screen is if you do this for any period of time, what you will start to realize is that your numbers get better, especially if you look at them. This is an interesting thing about numbers. If you just write them down and then throw this paper away, it will have an impact. By the way, just the accountability of writing the number down will still have an impact. Looking at it at the end of the week, how'd I do every day, will have a bigger impact. Documenting it and reviewing month over month will have an even bigger impact. So your level of tracking and measurement will most profoundly impact your income. Here's what you'll notice that we're not putting on the scorecard. How many people liked your post, right? Nice abs, bro. Cool bikini, chica. Why is everyone taking their clothes off? All right. Not likes, not followers. Guess what? That's not going to do it. Not views. Vanity metrics measure attention, other people's attention, but they don't measure your income, and they have nothing to do with building credibility for you as an agent. You just track what leads to a commission, not what feeds your ego. As Brent usually says, your ego is not your amigo. I like that one. AI, the conversation multiplier. Now, some of you are using AI for some brilliant things, and I love that. Some of you are probably way beyond me. That's incredible. I use AI every day. I use GPT and Claude, and I know there's other platforms. That's great. That's very exciting. Will I share this? Yeah, I'll share this whole entire thing, Nancy. No problem. Okay. But here's the thing that you need to realize about AI right now. First off, AI is absolutely brilliant. It will very soon be smarter than humans. That's very exciting. It's still not a human. And as of yet, we don't allow AI to directly purchase real estate. So a human will be involved. So your ability to maintain your humanity is going to be important. I'm not one of those guys that are like, AI is never going to, AI is going to, okay, it's coming for everything, whatever, who cares, right? Your ability is to understand it right now and understand how to maximize it. There is a new economy that will emerge where people who figure out how to use this to accelerate are going to do so well, you guys, so well. And I want it to be you so much. I really do. I care for you. I want you to have that success. So you need to adopt this. You cannot reject this permanently. Just start, if it's today, you need to start adopting it a little bit. That's fine. Just go on and like talk to Gemini, or, oh yeah, I use Gemini too. Talk to Gemini a little bit, whatever, just whatever's free for the moment. Get involved that way, maybe to start. AI does not replace agents yet. It multiplies conversations. Somebody will try. I'm just going to be a guy who's honest with you and says it. Somebody's going to try to make AI replace agents. You guys know that's coming, right? That's okay. It won't be 100% of the marketplace, and agents who are AI enhanced will actually outperform straight AI products 10 out of 10. Humans want to do business with other humans, but they also don't want to do business with really slow, non-responsive humans. So this is where we can start to use it to make us better, right? Superhuman. So agents who win with AI aren't using it to sound like a robot. They're using it to have more real conversations, more consistency, more scale above what one human could sustain. Have a better system. I think it was like 2 iterations ago, GPT rolled out like a cross segment memory now, right? So you could literally just go in there. It could be your CRM, your whole source of record. It's amazing, right? Like that wasn't possible before. Build me a system is like a keystroke away. This is where AI plugs into the engine. So personalized follow-up, written in your voice, sent on time every time. You do need to train it so it understands your voice. Could it accelerate this? Yes. Could it give you ideas? Yes. If you have to have a uncomfortable conversation, could it give you ideas about even better ways to handle that? For sure. So there's some coaching in that, but you need to not slow down. This is about speeding up. Remember, speed beats perfection, 10 out of 10. That we covered that earlier. So some people will go in here and they'll spend 6.5 hours talking to their AI about what they should have done 6.5 hours ago. Whoops. I know because I've done it. CRM intelligence, surfacing the contact you forgot to call today. This is about finding data. Now, if you don't know how to do this yet, I just want you to know many of the CRMs, including some of them that are available at EXP, either have plugins or built-in direct access to AI. The AI can literally go in and say, here's what's missing in your CRM. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out to somebody like Scott or one of the other tech kind of wizards that are hovering around inside the community and have a chat with them. They know how to do this, and this will change your life, right? Because if those people aren't being touched, this matters a lot. Video scripting, if you don't know what to say on a video, have it write it, say, I only want to talk for 60 seconds, and then make sure I shut up. Neighborhood updates, you just feed it the data. It'll even tell you what it's looking for. It probably doesn't even need you. It can just write it, most likely. Most of that data is publicly available. More places where it multiplies you. Text or email drafts, go faster, right? It's not about better. Don't overthink it. I would never say that. Send, just send it every time. I want you to hear that. Just send. You're so worried about having the perfect words that the agent down the street just texted him 16 times while you were trying to figure out what you were going to say. All right. Listing and buyer research, open house invitations, referral follow-up. These are huge, right? All of them are huge. So sample prompt could be something simple. This is just a dumb one so you can see what this could look like. Give me 3 bullet points of what's changed in Maple Ridge this quarter, then turn it into a 30-second video script in my voice, right? Once it knows your voice, you don't have to be, people used to write books on how to do prompts when AI first came out. And then like a week later, you didn't need prompts anymore because it was all such natural language. You don't have to have a degree in AI to use AI, guys. That's the whole entire point of AI. In case you haven't dabbled with it, is you don't need to be an expert to use it. That is the advantage. Are there still things where you need to be an expert? Sure. If you're going to write code, you need to know code still. But 6 weeks from now, you probably won't. What to automate and what never to. Automate the reminder, never automate the relationship. Automate the draft, never automate the signature moment, right? Automate the research, but never automate the handshake. These personal elements are going to matter more and more. Actually, I would argue that the human element will gain value. But here's the problem with the people being like, humans are always going to be so important. True, but you're missing something. Humans are going to be AI enhanced. They'll still be human. But the human who's AI enhanced is going to beat the ever living hog snot out of the human who's not. I would argue they currently are. It's going to become more and more obvious over the next 12 months. So just get on the bus. It's not going to take your listings, but agents using AI to talk will certainly take your listings. So the conversation playbook. And this is where I want you to take a couple notes. Look for the things that are missing in your business. Those are the biggest breakaway moments. We're going to go through these quickly because I got to wrap up. All right. The daily routine. Review yesterday's scorecard before you open your inbox. How many of us are guilty? We've all done it. I've done it recently. So I just don't want to be like I'm, like ego, like I do it all right. Okay. Open my inbox before I think about what actually needs to be done. What are my top priorities? What are the biggest dominoes? Reach out to 5 past clients or sphere contacts. When was the last day in the last month that you deliberately reached out to 5 past clients you hadn't talked to in a while, or 5 people in your sphere that you hadn't talked to in a while? Just 5. Be honest with yourself. You don't need to say it. Looks like Scott might have done it this morning. But you need to be able to do this probably every day. Post or send one piece of local curious content. You can figure out what's curious. It's something where people leave your comment or content wondering more than it's answered. Curiosity-based marketing works. Don't answer questions, create questions. Make your hardest call first, not last. That kind of goes back to number 1, and then log every conversation before you log off for the day. I don't care if it's at the end of the day. Harder than, by the way, if you're trying to capture what happened at 9:30 a.m. and it's 7 p.m. and you finished your last showing and your brain is dead, right? Not as easy right then. That was our daily routine. Weekly routine. Record 1 neighborhood update video per week. Personally touch your top 50 relationships per week. Different channels, Lexi clarified that. Ask 3 past clients for a referral directly. Review your CRM for contacts that are going cold and book at least 3 coffee meetings to talk about real estate. Hey, I want to talk to you guys about an idea. Maybe leverage some of your self-directed IRA funds to buy an investment property and make 17% instead of 2% like the market's going to when SpaceX finally crashes, right? Something like that, whatever. Weekly. Monthly. Audit your scorecard trend. Hey, this means we kept the scorecards. We didn't throw them away. Not just one day's number. You could do it as a Google spreadsheet. That's how I would do it. Some people might do it on a piece of paper. If that works better for you, amen. That's incredible, but don't lose the paper. It can't just become a pile of disaster on your desk, right? Host or attend 1 in-person local event. Per month, Jeff? Yes, per month. I don't care what it is. An event could be, hey, a bunch of my past clients and I are getting together down at Hops Brewery. We're just going to shoot the breeze and I'm going to buy around for everybody. Feel free to come by if you want to. And you send that out to all 50 of your top people. 5 of them will show up. Send a personal non-salesy note to your whole database. By the way, all 50 of them will have heard from you though when you invited them. And that's the important part, FYI. Not how many show up, right? I know how many people show up for a call. I know how many I invited. Height of this call, if you're watching on the replay, height of this call, we had 20 people live. I sent this invitation to 1,400 people. Do I care about scale? Always. Do I know all 1,400 roughly of those people? Roughly? Are we best friends? No. Best friends with all of you, of course. All right. So host or attend one in-person local event. Send a personal non-salesy note to your whole database. Review which laws you're ignoring and pick one to fix that month. You can fix 12 a year? Dang, dude. Once a quarter. Check this out. Are we getting longer? Yeah, once a quarter. So a quarter is every 3 months, in case you didn't know. Reassess your visibility channel, double down or switch. What is a visibility channel? I'm going crazy on Instagram. Okay, great. All of those 22-year-olds who still live in their mom's basement must love your content. Clean and enrich your CRM data. Re-interview your last 5 clients for stories and referrals. Are you touching those 5 clients? Yes, that's important. Quarterly. Reset your 90-day conversation goals. How many people review their goals and then review their success and then review their upcoming goals, look to the future, set new goals, continual review, iteration, refinement, acceleration? If you're not doing that, that is a really important part of your life. And after quarterly, I need to do better. I know you do it though, Christine, and it's incredible. You talk about it, and I like that about you a lot. The annual routine, this one's going to matter. Calculate conversations to commission ratio for the year, at the end of the year. How can you do that if you have not tracked the number of conversations? Somebody answer that question. The answer is you can't. And how long do you have to track to know what your annual conversion rate is? A year. You have to track it for at least a year if you want to know that number. Like a whole year. All 365 of them and a quarter. That's for the leap years. Rebuild your database from the ground up. That could be frustrating, but you've got a whole year to do it. Don't wait until day 365 to start. That's the trick. Start on day 1. Recommit publicly to your visibility and frequency standards. In fact, I would recommit daily to your to your visibility standards, and then set next year's conversation engine targets. So here's your challenge, okay? And I always like to end with a challenge. This is something I learned from Lexi. It gives us an action item. I think it's really, really valuable so we can go out and do something, not just say something. Who cares? So 20 intentional conversations every single day. Some of you took a training that is now ancient, right? Called Bold. This one showed up in there. It was hilarious. People would show up. This was like the thing that they focused on. And then they were absolutely amazed that they closed more deals because they talked to more people. Should they have been amazed? No, that is not amazing. What's amazing is that they finally got off their ass and made the conversations happen. The rules are simple. Create 20 intentional conversations every day. Track every single one. Review your numbers at the end of the week. Don't skip a day. Even a slow one. I would recommend don't skip the weekends if you're not paying your bills. Everything changes when this becomes a habit. 30 days, 20 conversations, one completely different business. And here's what you want to know. Every single listing starts with one conversation. Every single buyer, we said this at the beginning, guys, starts with what? One conversation. How about referrals? Do they start? Oh, wait, one conversation. What about commission checks? One conversation. Stop chasing leads. Start engineering your conversations. And here's why. The agent who controls the conversation controls what? Joe knows this one. The commission. All right, thanks, guys. This has been absolutely exciting to share with everybody. And I love talking about how to break through this part of your business. If you don't have the conversations, will you have the commission checks? Yes or no? Or I should have said no or no. All right, fantastic. I agree with you. No, you most certainly will not. You must have the conversations first. If you want to stay motivated, make sure to log into the Facebook group for the community so you can engage with other high producers who are out there actually killing it, doing this work every single day, right? Doing it, making it work. And I think that that's the greatest way that you can stay committed, is to actually put yourself in the room with other incredible people. And in the meantime, if you need the rest of us, reach out anytime. All of us are here to support you. We love you, want to see you be successful. Thank you for being the very best part of the community. And we will talk to you guys soon.